Hey, welcome to the weekly open mic, everybody. We do this call because MSPs ask what's new at the platform, what we've been working on, and what other MSPs are working on. You folks labeled it R&D or rob and duplicate other people's automation ideas. With that, a couple reminders. If you're interacting with us in Discord, tag us, respond in a thread. We're monitoring hundreds of channels at the same time. Speaking of Discord, I know, let's see, how many MSPs do I know that are successful without asking a question? Brian, how many MSPs have succeeded in automation without asking a question?
Zero.
Zero. Ask questions. You know, one of the biggest things that is a warning sign to me on whether or not an MSP is going to succeed is if they have a huge ego and they think they're the automation experts. Odds are they will not succeed. So ask questions, even if you think they're dumb. Ask them early, ask them often, and you will succeed. Flow. Our Flow conference is right around the corner. Can someone post the Flow link in chat, please? We are going to sell out. We're also working on a cool keynote. That's not me, though I will be speaking. Way cooler than me, though. Keynote that you folks will enjoy. Come support your automation friends. I know who's speaking, and there's a lot of folks that would like your support and would like to get your feedback on their talks. With that, let's party. I'm going to send it over to Ashe. What's up?
Hello. All right. So last week I was off having fish and chips at a golf course, and you guys decided to have your own call, which apparently, from what I heard, turned out really awesome. So I wanted to shout out Linda. Linda, I'm not sure if you're on the call. Are you?
Linda gave you a run for your money, Ashe. She killed it. I enjoyed it.
I'm nowhere near as good as Ashe.
Well, Linda, I think that sometimes I might need a co-host, so we'll talk.
All right, we'll talk.
I was saying to Linda earlier, I was planning on coming up with something special for everybody who's going to be at Flow, who's been an open mic attendee. I was like, now I have to come up with something even more special for open mic facilitators. If anyone else wants to do something like that sometime, let me know. But before I go off on a totally different tangent and Aaron tells us we have to get back to automation again, I will jump over to Eddie for our education and docs updates. If you will.
Perfect. Quit.
Eddie.
Eddie, are you there?
Give me a moment to find Eddie or to pull up the updates.
Okay. Do we want to come back to Eddie?
We can do that.
All right.
JP, do you want to jump in with your marketplace updates?
Absolutely. Share my screen here. All right, the marketplace. Some new stuff that we've released. SuperOps RMM support. We've integrated that into our PowerShell execution workflows. So any workflow that uses PowerShell should be able to use SuperOps RMM with that. Caveat of that is a lot like VSA. and Data RMM, you need to install a script, but that script is already written for you, and it is on our lovely documentation page. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. And we have we also released a new crate, detect duplicate updates. Accounts. This basically what it does is it looks through your Active Directory, and you can define certain fields. And if 2 or more fields that you've defined have duplicates on between 2 accounts, it's going to log in a ticket for you. So that's pretty cool. I have the workflow up here, but it is live in the Crate Marketplace. You can take a look at it when you get off the call or now. We have a number of bug fixes that we put in, little tweaks on our existing crates. And coming up, we have the SuperOps PSA support, which is written, and it went through QA, and I had a few polish items for it. So we're gonna polish that up and release that coming up next week. So if you're looking forward to that, that's when that will be available in our for usage in our PSA subworkflows and our existing crates that use PSA, that has PSA support. Working on disk space monitoring and alerting crate, and a lot of work has been done on the existing Acronis deployment crate, but again, just a matter of which a lot of those changes are live. Just need to call it a refactor. I felt like there were a few items I wanted to bring it up to our current build standards, but a lot of fixes have already been applied to that. So if you've looked at it in the past, I encourage you to take a look at some of the updates we've made. And that is it for the Marketplace update.
Thank you, JP. Okay, and now can we jump over to Daniel with an A?
This Daniel with an A, right? Too many of us now.
That's, yeah, you
Okay,
you passed
perfect.
the test, so there you go. Yeah.
Excellent. Hello, everybody. I am back from Robin Robbins. I just spent the week in Texas. Oh, I'll show you this. I got my poutine after my time in Texas. I was craving one because I spent too much time away. Yeah, Robin Robbins was great. If you like uncomfortable music videos and if you like sales and marketing for IT, both were wonderful. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we shipped this week. So we shipped Notion and Slide, 2 integrations. That brings our integration total up to 4 for this month. We've been shipping at an average of about 3 or 4 integrations every month for the last, I think, 4 to 6 months, which is wonderful. Yeah, with Notion and Slide, you get documentation tools. We actually use Notion as our internal documentation tool. This came from also some upvotes in Canny. Slide is a new backup management tool, which was announced, I think, at Right of Boom, probably about a month ago. The other 2 integrations that we've released this month, because I may not have mentioned it last week, are Cork and Asana. So yeah, 2 other tools that I believe they were part of the Canny requests. We've also done a lot of work. Shout out to the app builder team. They keep working on usability and just iterating on the user experience of the page building canvas, and we're already seeing some great results and some positive feedback on those items. We also have a few bug fixes and chores that were completed. Some stuff relating to integration, some browser errors that you'd see when you're using the workflow builder, and we still have the same coming soon items this week. We're working hard on on a few bugs related to the PowerShell interpreter that have come up during the beta, as well as some of the GraphQL beta feedback, and then some search and filter functionality that we're hoping to get out in the next 2 weeks, and then the workflow executions dashboard, which it will follow shortly after that. So just to go in here, you can see, okay, these are all the actions that we have for Slide that are available. And then we have a whole bunch of actions for Asana, Cork, Notion as well. I don't have those set up in this workflow yet, but if I just test this workflow, the setup process is actually very easy. So within Slide, if you go into My Settings, you can create a new API token, and that will give you the API key. And then you just insert that here, save it, and it will authenticate that for you. It'll do a test, we'll run a test action. Asana is the same, it's a OAuth. So you click authorize, it will open up Asana for you, and it'll prompt you to log in, which will approve the authentication. So you can see here, I don't have any Asana tasks right now. I have a list projects task, and I have it going into this project, and then creating a task in the project that I'm pulling back. And so if I test this out, you can see, so I'll look at my Slide results. You can see all the backups that we have in Slide. You can see all the projects that we have, just one project. And then you can see that we have a task that was created. And if I go into here, you can see that task Go to Flow was created. And then within App Builder, just some of the usability stuff that we've been working on. You can see this top nav. We're just trying to make it a lot more user-friendly for you, and come back to some of the feedback that we've received through our beta program. So you can see that our settings are now a lot more accessible. So you have page settings here, and you can actually access the site settings directly from here. Shout out to the Portals team, which does our app builder work, who have really been working hard on improving the UX of the page building experience. So I think that's all that I have to discuss for today. So let's go back to Ashe.
Thank you, Daniel. All right, so Eddie was having some Teams issues, but I think you're in now, are you?
It'll be.
I am.
Oh, you made it.
Yeah, I made it. I had to go incognito.
You got all of us.
Awesome. Good to go?
Yeah, we're good.
Hey, everybody. Thank you guys for your patience and waiting for me. Filling in. I don't have a game tip of the week. I wish I did. If anybody does, throw it into the chat wherever direction the chat is. All of my tips are like, drink water before and after a meal to make sure you're hydrated. It helps suppress appetite and things like that. But let me figure out how to use Teams in the browser. I usually have the app, but the app's not working, so you will have to.
I think that you got Oblivion was the overall consensus.
So. All right.
And
cool.
Eddie, if it's okay with you, I can share that. Oh, you got it. Never mind.
I got it. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. I appreciate that. So
Teamwork.
Jumping in, we were off last week officially, but it sounded like you guys had a really good time taking over. So quick shout outs as always. Quite a lot of them. Mattia, Yakov, Keston, Silvio, Diego, Dominic, Mason, Joshua, Ryan, Manav, Michael. Congrats to you guys for passing the Rewst Foundation certification, taking it in our new platform. So really good shout outs there, as well as Jamie and Aaron from the Rewst team. Congrats to you guys for taking the Foundations course. We've been working through all of the migration things. So appreciate your guys' patience as we've been figuring out badging and things like that, and just kind of ironing out all of the kinks. From there, on the clean automation side, Yakov again, Silvio again, Michelle, Stephen, Christopher, Alex, Isaiah, Joshua, Noah, Gareth, Bailey, Brad, Max, and Stuart. Congrats to you guys for passing clean automation, as well as Trisha. Hey, from the Rewst side, congrats to you as well for passing clean automation. If you guys haven't taken a look at those, feel free to do so. The links are here. And again, everything has been migrated to learn.rewst.io. So if you haven't checked it out yet, here it is, rewst.io or learn.rewst.io. A couple of updates as well. Again, if you need time to just rubber duck with me, talk about anything CluckU related, we have office hours. Feel free to sign up for that. Be more than happy to help you guys out over there. And we released a new course. We know that Jinja has always been one of those, hey, is there going to be a Jinja course? Hey, when's the Jinja course? This is the first Jinja course that we have released, fully dedicated to Jinja. There may be more to come. I know Jinja is a very big topic. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. So consider this as sort of our first foray in taking care of Jinja. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure to check it out. Whether you're a Jinja ninja or just getting started, there's probably a little bit that you can either review or learn from. There's all the other trainings here as well. Again, you can take them live. You can go through the videos, whichever serves your purposes. And from there are documentation updates. So a lot of documentation coming through. Again, want to highlight these transforms. Again, another means of doing Jinja without exactly doing Jinja, right? So ways of implementing Jinja functionality without having to do all of the Jinja stuff. So if you haven't checked out transforms or played with them, we are continuously making more and more documentation on them so you can actually see how they work instead of trying to fumble through and fill out fields and things like that. So documentation for that, as well as all of the other docs updates here. So again, big highlights here. Congrats to all of those who passed your certifications, whether foundations or clean automation. New course released, Jinja in action. Take a look, provide feedback at me in Discord or DM me in Discord for any feedback, anything else that you want to see from the Jinja world. We'll do our best to cater for that. And again, a whole slew of documentation here. I'm continuously trying to give more and more information for you guys. And always use the search bar, right? We have the search bar up here. You can ask the AI for things there too. I think that covers all of the major updates. So we'll throw it back over to you, Ashe.
Thank you very much, Eddie. All right, so we actually, Eddie, you are, I think I was using this a little bit earlier, right? Like you are going to be main staging next week, right?
Is it next week already?
Or I guess almost a week out, almost 2 weeks,
yeah,
a little bit
at
less than 2 weeks.
MSP yeah, I'll be over there. So
if you love Eddie's voice and his training and his education, make sure you go to that session because it's going to be awesome.
It's the first one. It's in the morning, so
everybody's ramped up, ready to go. Okay, so we had Eddie, we've got JP, we did Daniel with an A. So now we will go over to Daniel with an A.
All right, I assume you mean me.
Good guessing. See, you guys are so good at this.
All right, so I want to show off a workflow we just completed. We wrapped up today. Well, mostly wrapped up. It's always improving, but the core of it is our agreements. We try to get agreement profitability to be accurate. So we need the number of agents and all that stuff to be accurate in the agreement so that when we look at the agreement profitability, we're taking into account the full client and what it costs us. So I'm going to share my screen, show the problem, and then work through it. Oops, I got to move my ring light here. So let's do that. There we go. So here's an example agreement from our client base. As you can see, we've got line items for stuff like ImiPod agents or Automate agents, Screen Connect agents. All of that has a cost associated. That's off the edge of the screen here, but that all has a cost associated with it. And as a result, we want it to be accurate because that shows the cost of having the client, along with the hours billed to it and all that other. It just shows the total cost of the client. And there definitely have been cases where a client has cost us more money on average than they are paying us when you start taking labor and all that stuff into account. So we have let clients go before because we were literally losing money having them. And I bet anyone who's not paying attention to this probably has 1 or 2 clients that they lose money on more often than they gain. And that's a drag on the company. You know, it's a lot of resources you're wasting to not make money. So we track that very closely, but in doing that, we want to keep these agents counts up to date, as well as the managed user count. That is calculated based on the number of contacts. So our previous way of doing it was simply, we had a bright gauge here. We have list of all clients. We had we calculated the contacts based on their type to see if they were in-state or out-of-state managed users. And then we looked at the agreement and did a delta on those. And then our COO, who's also basically our CFO, who's also our bookkeeper, would go in and manually update those every month at the end of the month. That's obviously a huge amount of time for one of the most expensive and important employees in our company. And it always had to be done right at the end of the month. So it meant he was every single month he was crunched to get all this information in. And then on top of that, you had to do the agents as well. So trying to keep on top of these was very difficult, and the information was inaccurate because we're pulling best guess sources. So like ConnectWise Control, Bright Gauge doesn't have an integration with ConnectWise Control or Screen Connect. So then we're looking at automate software installs of Screen Connect. That is the way we are calculating that, which is not correct. We had a lot of agents being used that did not account for that. So all of this meant a very manual process that was very time-taking and time-sensitive at the same time. Obviously, a bad mix. And again, it was also one of our most expensive employees doing it. So yeah, we wanted to fix that. So this is our solution. Oh wait, hold on. That's not the right color, is it? Let's fix that, and there we go. So we created, well, I say we, James specifically, our automation engineer, who was nice enough to share my picture in the chat earlier. He created this automation, which goes through, it gathers some base information, just gets the agreements for a client. So this is triggered per client, gets the agreements, gets all the additions for those agreements. That's things like those agent counts. It does a little bit of filtering and cleaning up of the lists, kind of more of the filtering, cleaning up, and it also gets all contacts, and that's later for the user count updating. So that gets all the information we need. Then, oops, messing up the beautiful flow here. Then we just go through every agent: auto elevate, automate, domots, DNS filter, AmiBot, Screen Connect, managed VPN, which is OpenVPN SKU we sell, and then manage users in state and out of state. So we just go one at a time through these and calculate for every client. We get their agreement, we count these up, and then we have a sub workflow that goes through and updates it. James, I will not break your things. I do not plan on saving this, but I did move things around. Your jellyfish was looking a little messy, so I cleaned up, squared it all up a little. Anyways, so we go through and we just created a sub workflow that actually does the agreement updating, because there's a little bit of logic that has to go into it. So we didn't want to just have like a ConnectWise manage node here. That's where sub workflow came in. So we actually look at the sub workflow. We can see most of the time, for almost everybody, it just cleans up the list a little and then uses that information to update the agreement in ConnectWise Manage. However, we have one client, which is labeled as GUM here, that we have to split up against multiple agreements. And that's another place the user count comes in. We go and we use, we take the contacts that are in sites, and we use that to match to agreements to then split up all of these agents across the agreements, because the agents themselves are not always in a site, so we can't use that reliably. So we just do our best to guess there. So we handled all of that weirdness in this sub workflow. So we have yet another sub workflow that goes through and fixes it, both for users and agents. They're two different situations. I will say we are using, which is fun, a lot of PowerShell. We've started playing with that. We're testing that out, and we've had really good results with the PowerShell. And like a relatively complicated little program like this, is pretty easy in PowerShell, and in Jinja we are lost. We just both get frustrated and want to walk away. So who said please correct yourself? What's Kelvin talking about here? Oh, jellyfish. Okay. Anyways, so we go through, we're using subworkflows to repeat the process so we don't have to do it for every single item. So when we add a new item to this list, all we need is something that counts it, and then we tell it what to update. So we say, hey, take the count, update the total as necessary. So we really streamline that. And the users, it works the same way. The only real difference in the user count is that we have to take that other path in the sub workflow. So we've really streamlined it, made it able to grow. All we have to do is add, hit plus here, and then we add the count and we add the update command. And that really, really streamlined. And on top of that, the existence of PowerShell, we avoided doing this until we had PowerShell. We're like, I don't know, we want to do this, but man, I don't know about that Jinja, which, maybe we need to take that course on Jinja that there is now. But with PowerShell, we could do really easy things like, hey, let's get where in state, and actually, so example of these, we realized we were getting the agreement items, but we also needed to figure out when they didn't have an agreement item, or we didn't have things properly linked. So we say, hey, you got, managed VPN, but do we have some way of tying that back to the company correctly? So, we had some cases where we didn't have org variables set up in Rewst, and so that fixed that. I was trying to find a good example of where it was easy to do that. We're doing all kinds of great stuff. Anyways, so that's it. Basically, we're just getting the base information, and then we're updating the agreement. That's all it really is. But as a result, we can now tell how profitable a client is. At any time during a month, we can see how much profit we've made on that agreement. And then we can look at that trend over using, reports and manage. We can see that trend over months. We can watch clients become more profitable over time or less profitable over time, and then try to figure out what the trend tracking is, like why that's going that direction. But if we're not accounting for all these agent costs, then we won't necessarily be accurate, because some clients, you have people with like 6 computers for some reason. We all know that guy that has 6 computers. And on a small client, that can tank in profitability just from paying for $2 agents left and right. So that's it. That is my entire thing. Anyone have any actual questions on that?
Derek said that's it.
Yeah. How often are you running something like this?
We're doing it daily. Well, we're not yet. We just finished it. We're going to be doing it daily. That's our plan. And so it will always be there. Theoretically, you could just run it at the end of the month, but if something's going wrong, you wouldn't know until the end of the month, and then you have to fix it immediately because it's the end of the month. So we think running it daily is probably the right move on this one.
Very cool. I like it.
Any other questions from anyone else? All right, so we had our Daniel with an A, and then we had our Daniel with the USA. They both knew who each other were, which is pretty good. Let's try this again. Daniel with an E.
The traditional spelling, you mean?
The
yes, that's
exponential long name.
Yes, exactly. Cool, thank you, Ashe. So one of the things we've been running into lately is text cherry picking tickets and ignoring SLAs, and that's kind of annoying and also kind of annoys clients. So in the refactor of my Teams bot, I decided to try to fix that problem. So let me share my screen. So our Teams bot now is based off this primary handler now. So the webhook comes in, starts off, it initializes some commands for different things you can do with the bot. It sends it down to the message router and then tries to find a home for it. And if it can't find a home for it, it'll send it off to OpenAI, where it says, hey, look at these commands, see if there's anything interesting in it, if it matches any of the commands, and then send it back if you think it does. So it allows for some natural language processing in the actual Teams bot. So for this case, we're going to look at the command handler here and come down. This is the command handler workflow. Say it just passes the same information down. In this case, we're going to go and look at next ticket. The next ticket sub workflow just lists the team's tickets, formats it, and then generates an adaptive card and then sends it to the user. So what does this look like over here? You can say, what is up next for team 99? And assuming the LLM wants to be useful for me and parses that command properly, I now have an adaptive card with tickets that have SLAs due next. So I have a system outage server down that's due in an hour and 16 minutes, and I have an application crashing on launch that's sitting in the resolve resolution plan of SLA, or sorry, we have res plan and resolution here. I'd say I want to pick up the server down ticket. I can click assign me and set in progress. It will then let me know, hey, I got you assigned to it. And then tries to pull a little bit more information about that ticket. And provides an entire summary of the ticket, the contact, the issue, loops through all the notes and tries to do its best to figure out what's going on so I can save some time of having to go into this ticket. So what does that part look like? We come back to that primary handler. It's the same exact webhook that comes through. We just jump to this adaptive cards workflow instead. The adaptive cards workflow does the same thing the command handler one does and goes to assign me, which at this point figures out who the tech is based on the Office 365 ID that was passed back from the adaptive card when I clicked the button, sets the ticket to room progress, it schedules me on the ticket, it splits it off to let me know, hey, I did assign you, I'm going to try to summarize it now. And then it sends it back up to the completion handler. So if you look back at this workflow, you'll notice there's no actual send Teams message anywhere in the workflow because I decided to leverage a completion handler on the original workflow to say, send the message via that. That way I can error handle in the completion workflow or completion handler rather than the workflows itself, just to save me some time. So assuming it's an adaptive card, it sends a message with an attachment. If there's no attachment, it will try to just send it back over to a message. So now in manage, if I pop that open, as we get the standard manage spinning wheel of death, you'll see I am now assigned on this ticket and it is set to in progress. So the really cool thing that I wanted to take out of this was the ability to sub-workflow these, the entire bot was super helpful in the fact that now I could easily make a second command that will send off and summarize that, or I can now send the ticket link to the bot and it'll summarize the ticket using that exact same summarize workflow that I had previously. So I didn't need to rebuild it. It's the exact same sub workflow, whether you're doing a ticket search for summarize or you're sending it through next ticket and it assigns it to you. So really what I've just ended up building is an MCP bot in Teams, but it's come in super useful for trying to get these guys to use the right or do the next ticket appropriately. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, so next up, who wants to guess who has the license to demo next? Any ideas what the person's name is?
Is it Daniel?
It's Craig. Craig, you're up.
That's me. That's it's Daniel Craig, license to kill. How you doing? Thanks, Ash. Hi, everyone. Long time listener, first time speaker. So please bear with me and please go gentle on me. So we've got a client who's come to us to talk about an automation of what they want to do. They want to basically take some information from a platform and put all that data into SQL. That's fine. You know what it's like. They email you, they give you bullet points of what they want and what you want to portray to try and put it to try and make a workflow for them. So they after long times of meeting and going through onto Teams, they they use Ingram, and I don't know if you guys have used Ingram before, but the Ingram platform generates CSV reports on the platform, and basically every month they get a CSV report with a link, and that link is like a zip file with a CSV with all of the products and the information, their purchase price, their customer information and stuff like that. And they sent me that link, and then that would when you go into that link, you download like a zip file. You have a look at that zip file. In there's a zip file, the CSV file, and all in there is the information. And they basically wanted that CSV file into SQL for them to be able to use Bright Gauge or Power BI to be able to look at the data and monitor it. Anyway, so when I had a look at this, and they gave me the link, I was clicking. I was like, how am I going to get that URL, extract the CSV file and make it JSON, get it in as a JSON format, so stuff that I can make use of it. So what I did was, if I share my screen, this is the basic workflow that I've did. I've not made a complicated workflow. It's just a start, middle, end, and so I've built the workflow, but because I don't want to disclose information and stuff, I've just built this basic workflow doing the same proof of concept. So this is kind of like what the URL they would use, and that looks like this. If you click that link, you get like this, and if you click in this, you get like a CSV file. So then I was thinking, how am I going to get that information through into Rewst to be able to get that into some kind of SQL to be able to work with the data? So after a lot of talking to Rewst, talking to different people, I found this really cool product called PythonAnywhere.com. I knew I could do it with Python, but I couldn't do it within the Rewst platform. So having to sign up, and I just wanted to, a proof of concept. I knew I could do it within Flask, like send it the information and get back the information that I need. So this is completely free of charge. It didn't cost me anything. If you want to do a starter plan, it's $5 a month. It doesn't cost very much at all. And with that, you get like a Flask application. And with Flask, you can do lots of things like send it a webhook information to do a certain task and then give it back. So basically, I signed up. I set up this really cool web app. You go through like a wizard, a tutorial that says, how do you want to do this? Do you want to build a Flask app? Do you want to build a Django app, or whatever you want to do? Click it. What version of Python do you want to use? Do you want a SQL database? Do you want this to run? All these sorts of questions. It was quite straightforward, if I'm completely honest. And once I went through that wizard, I found that with the help of ChatGPT, I made this really cool app. So by default, you get like a Hello Flask information. You get to build all these cool routes. So if you go to craigduff.pythonanywhere.com/upload, you can grab this information. And what this is going to do is give me back the information that I need. So if I go back to Rewst here, all I'm doing is I'm saying go to the URL, and obviously this can be dynamic, so you could do ctx dot the dynamic, so you could do list the Ingram URLs, grab that information and populate into here. And obviously I'm following this root URL. I'm telling it it's going to be a JSON type format, and to give me back the information that I need following that script. So if I click test now, it should go off, talk to Python, come back, and then if I click on view the results, it's now giving me that information that I need from that spreadsheet based on that script from with the help of ChatGPT. And then now I've done that, I can now build a data format and do result.data to give me, so I can create a dictionary to get the information I want to then put it into a SQL. So now it's in Rewst. It's great because there just doesn't seem to be any limitations with Rewst. It doesn't matter. All I've done is I've just typed in a task and got a HTTP request, dragged it through. Now I can do a post request, give it the information, tell the information I want back, and basically produce this really cool script for the client. So it's a win-win. That's it from me.
That is so awesome. Showing the value of leveraging how it calls out to other tools to then use Rewst as the proper orchestrator. Really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I'd recommend it to anyone. Thanks, Ash.
Thank you.
How did I do? Good?
You did amazing. That was awesome. And you got
Good.
a lot of reactions.
Good.
Does anybody have any questions for Craig or the other counterparts in our deadly demos today?
My heart's beating. I've gone
you did really awesome. If not, Jonathan, you mentioned that you had something. Do you want to go?
Sure. Yeah. You'll hear me?
Cool. Sure can.
Yeah. So great demo, Craig. That was really cool. And yeah, I'm kind of taking it back. There's lots of cool stuff. I think I really, this might have even already been done, but it was just, I'm having so much, I fixed a problem that I've been having, and I'm so excited about it that I just can't wait to share. So we have clients that, kind of want app builder applications, but we need to create HTML. And whenever you're working with HTML, you really want to make things modular. But I've got a bit templates, so I start nesting templates. And so I end up with to create good code, let me share my screen. I end up with 20 templates because I want each module to be its own thing. I want to separate out code that makes sense to separate out. So, maybe I've got a simple web application and now I've got, 10 files and that's 10 templates. But if I want to modify this in Rewst, they're each in their own, Rewst template. And I have to go into Rewst and I have to find the template. And then I have to either modify it in the templates or I have to modify it in my local code editor and then go find the right tab and copy paste it in there, submit it, and then go back to my application. And this is really annoying because maybe I just want to make a simple change, or maybe I don't know exactly where it is and I clicked on the wrong template. Oh, I got to go wait for Rewst to reload a bunch of things. So with the recent PowerShell additions, I revisited this idea of, wait, I can just update the templates. I can just use a webhook and I can just update the template, and it's not complicated at all. This is the simplest workflow I've ever made in my entire life. Thanks to shower gel. It still works without shower gel. You just can't have Jinja. But the addition of shower gel means that I can put Jinja into the templates and have it not be an error. So to do this update template, I just, I've got a webhook set up, and I've got a webhook. It's simple as can be. All I did was set a secret on it, set it to be a post, and then take note of this URL. And then I pass over the template and I parse it from base64. So this is all that the PowerShell is on Rewst end. It just, decodes the base64 content, and I pass it along the template ID that I want to update, and then it can update the template. It's okay, so now I've got a webhook that can update a template. How useful is that? It's well, depending on what tool you use, you can make this super simple. So all I did was I made a script in conjunction with a VS Code extension that already exists, which is run a build on save. So I've got any file that I want set up in my templates folder. If I put export at the top and then I put the template ID, if I save it, then it will run my PowerShell script and send off a post request to update the templates. That way, if I want to go into my big project, I don't have to find the template page at all. I just, save it with this at the top, and then it updates it in Rewst. So, the quickest demo, let's see, I've got my demo 1 template shows more Jinja here. If I'm in my VS Code and I decide to throw some random junk in here and I save it, then it will launch off the script. It'll say, okay, we're exporting to this template. It's going to send off a post. We check the CI/CD. We can see this latest run this minute. And then if I reload the page, I have the new template. And so this is like infinitely useful to me. I don't have a specific thing to show because I don't want to show a client application. But you know, if I want to go into my giant project and I want to change what this particular HTML or JavaScript is doing, and I want to change it, I make some change. It's exporting it. I wait like 5-10 seconds most of the time. And then I reload my app builder page. Most of the time by the app builder page reload, it's already got the updated version. That way I can use my local version control to keep track of all of my files. And then I can kind of ignore going to the templates in general. So, you know, I've been working on this project over the last like week or so. And then like in the last 2 days, I spent like an hour developing this script, and this really the script. The workflow was like nothing. And now I've been making changes like instead of each change taking me like 45 seconds to put in place, now it's 10 seconds. Or, you know, instead of it taking, you know, if Rewst is being slow and now I can't load the templates page, maybe it's 2 minutes before I can copy paste in my code. But now it's just 15 seconds always. All right, I saw a question, Carl.
I didn't mean to raise my hand. I'm sorry. I meant to react.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, if Eric, question?
Yeah, sorry. I actually do have a question. Could this be leveraged to create new templates?
If there's a workflow action that can do it, then yeah. If I haven't tested that specifically, but you would just need to have your script deal with it. So like, let's see. Can we create one? Templates.
I wonder if the new GraphQL action.
I think the new GraphQL.
Oh, there it is. There's a Rewst create template there.
Yeah, there's a Rewst built-in action, so you could definitely leverage this. I just did the very base level. You could, if you wanted to, take it a step further and create a new template, and then have that template return back the GUID that's necessary, and just set this up to where you never have to create the template in Rewst. This is just like the very first step though. Yeah, so I made it so that I can keep my, you know, super complex constructs way easier to deploy. And I think this is like a great example of, you know, how complex a workflow isn't necessarily correlated to how useful it is, because, you know, on a day-to-day basis, this would save me like so much time and just allow me to be more productive in making changes to these like files, and just kind of allow me to make better design choices as far as organizing my code. Because now it's not that much of a task to, okay, I can include another template. It's not really that much more complexity. It's just another file. I can manage it just as easy. So I'm able to be more modular and not feel as bad about it. But that's pretty much it. I've just been super excited because I've used it 300 times over the last day. So that's about it.
That's really awesome. I love the theme of what we were doing today. It's like the integrating the integrations. Anyone else does that inspire anything for anyone else? I see a lot of conversations that Chris said he's going to go off and do something like it. And Brent, I think you were the one that was talking about how you did this a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, and this was inspired by the person that did it in Cursor.
Yeah,
really,
that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should, yeah, we should almost have like a deep dive on that specific topic sometime, because that's so powerful, and it's integrating with all of those other tools that are doing these things right now. Love it. We've got 9 minutes. So any questions? Anybody have anything else they want to discuss or double back on? Now's the time.
I'm just so thrilled by the number of demos today that were PowerShell. And what's cool about it is we didn't, when we first launched the beta, it was us pushing people to try it and give feedback. And what's neat is seeing folks use it organically because they needed it, not because we asked about it. So that's pretty exciting. As far as questions, like there's at least 150 of you that never ask a question. Remember, you can't win at automation unless you ask a question. I did see Daniel's got his hand up.
Yeah, and this one's not a question. I did want to note the other thing we did today, besides finishing that, is we also did a custom integration with the beta access for custom integration. For Domots, they have an open API spec. And it was as easy as it should be to do that. So anyone who's thought about doing that, I recommend looking into it because it really was. You copy the open API spec into a text window, paste it in, and then you answer a couple of questions in a wizard, and then we had a working integration that you guys don't otherwise have, and it was really nice to see that. It worked. The only thing we struggled with, and I don't know, James figured it out, but it was company tying, but that's also because Domots' API they don't have an API endpoint for listing companies. So I think we had to do some special work, but otherwise it was really easy. And so I just wanted to note that if anyone hasn't looked into that.
Awesome. Is there anyone that's never asked a question before? I'd love to hear a question from someone new. And there's nothing too dumb. We're all workflow noobs at some point, and we want more people to join our expert club.
There's another Dan. Dan, I think that you could probably have a conversation with that. If you need some people to chat with in the coop, I bet you'd be able to talk to a few.
Emmett, hold on. Let's see, I'm looking for Emmett has a question, but Emmett's asked them before. Go for it. There's no one else speaking up, so shoot your question.
Has anyone tried integrating NAS 360 with Rewst? It looks like they have RESTful APIs. I've tried doing a custom integration, just have not been able to get it working.
Anybody? Bueller. If you have, just drop it in the chat, so Emmett knows who to ping. Thank you for the question. Is there anyone else with questions? So Neil asked, can I use PowerShell now in Rewst? I know that it may seem obvious to a lot of folks, but people miss announcements and miss things. Everyone's extremely busy, so don't mind me if I repeat myself. Yes, everyone now should have access to PowerShell. It runs in most places right now, like in transitions and other areas. Inside the editor, there should be like a PS button. You have to give our interpreter a little heads up you're about to put PowerShell in. No one's stuck on a workflow?
Playing Oblivion again.
Everyone's playing Oblivion.
I'm stuck on something, but I don't think it's necessarily like kind of that Mass 360 question. I used like 3 different tools to convert Zoho's Postman into OpenAPI to try to import it, and it's just such a train wreck. I ran away, and I've done it like on 3 separate occasions with different mindsets and 3 different tools to see. And Zoho is just, it's their Postman stuff has something in it that sort of breaks the conversion to OpenAPI through some of these tools. And 2 of the tools flat out failed to convert it properly. I could see it with my own eyes. I'm not even, I'm not like putting it through something else to tell me that it's broken. But API Dog, I think, was the one that produced the cleanest output, but it wasn't really importable.
Did you try using Ben Clymer's thing that he showed and created the other day? Logan just posted it.
I wasn't around on that one day. Figures the one day, like I'm somewhere in Europe on vacation, is the one
Try
day. Okay. Yeah.
If it doesn't work, then we can chat after, because I think that there's like, we've been trying to do this similar with SIP1, and we came up with an interesting way to hack through that too.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I will try that. Thank you.
I'll send it to you in Discord as well. 2 minutes left. I think everybody's kind of ready for the weekend now.
I'm ready for DeepCon. I'm wearing my shirt. I can't wait to go.
Yep, I'm wearing mine. It will be fun to see everyone. It'll be fun to watch Eddie deliver the keynote talk kicking off the event.
And unfortunately, I have a travel engagement next week, like I did this week. I was at Robin Robbins. For those of you who are familiar with that conference, it was not cold this year. I bet she was mad that it was not cold. But normally that is a frozen conference where you can see your breath when you walk into the conference area. With that, 1 minute left. I want to thank the folks that demoed. Thank you for the folks that tried some PowerShell without any prompting from us. That's super exciting to see. I love how it's spreading organically throughout the platform. I know it can be stressful getting ready for these demos, and all of you folks are like more than 100% busy every week. So thanks for taking the time out of the day to help everybody. With that, help your peers in the coop, answer some questions, and have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you again next Friday.
Bye, everyone.
Doodles.
Everyone.
No.